It has been a while, but Geg is back, and we're taking a look at his Spires plus 20. Brings a little tear to my eye, honestly. Geg, he contacted me looking for help, probably right at the beginning of Shadowlands. And I just remember there's a bunch of videos on the channel. I remember doing like an 8 with him, and then I think he submitted a 10. He was like, "This is my highest key." He wasn't very confident doing a 10. And you actually have that here. This was February 7th, 2021. I did a full breakdown of his 10 Plague Fall. Okay. At the time, we had a lot of problems with UI, had some really strange, kind of questionable talent decisions, and he was Necrolord. A lot's changed. He's now in 20 Spire, still on Blood DK. I think he had switched away from it for a while there, but he's back to the good old Blood DK. So let's take a look. He has Venthyr as well, by the way, using the General Draven thing, which I have seen a lot of people suggest nowadays is not a very good option. But then I have seen a lot of people say no, it is still a very good option, and I think it depends perhaps on maybe where your stats are or something like that. Other than the I don't know anything about Venthyr, so we won't comment on all that, but that's what he's using, and that's his talents right there. He has Bone Storm, so I have seen a lot of people using that as Venthyr. He also has Fall Bulwark. Now I'm not sure what we're doing legendary-wise. I'm hoping Crimson Rune, because if not, Fall Bulwark is going to be pretty useless. Yeah, he's got shoulders on, so that means Crimson Rune, right? I don't think there's another option there. So right out of the gates, he said he forgot to start the recording on the first opening part, but we are doing Spires 20 on what is considered probably the easiest week of the season. We are doing Varuth first. Now, typically, I would say don't do this in this order. I don't really know how much it matters, but yeah, typically you see like how he's actually got like a Omni CD or whatever that is on the left there. So you can see all those CDs that are up, and people are just sitting on those CDs. So what we're doing here is we're making these players choose. Do they want to sit on their CDs for 3 packs, or do they want to use them on 1 pack and then not have them up for the subsequent combat? And instead, what you can do is just go right to the trash. Then all of these DPS will use all their CDs on the trash, and then they'll be back up for the boss. And that's definitely a much better order. Just for a pure DPS gain. Now, I don't think it really matters. Oh, and he takes Siege Breaker Stand. Interesting. So he's a little worried about survival, I guess. Interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. How often you've been doing that? He's using the classic floating combat text as well, which I kind of can't really use on my own because it gets really annoying when you have this many targets, and you can see it's very loud. It's hard to see what's underneath them, but I still see a lot of the same UI problems. There's actually nothing on the bottom right this time, but he does have an interrupt tracker there. I assume that's also part of that add-on Omni CD. And you can see it down here. It's actually, again, kind of interfering with this, which I believe this is just the default frame in Plater. Now, a pro tip for you guys, and Geg as well, you can actually take some of these auras off. So I would definitely, if you're going to use this, I would go into the Plater settings and definitely take off like this setting here, like something that you never actually need to track. Like, I don't know, Blood Shield or like a couple things that you just don't really care about tracking. But there's a lot of stuff on the screen, still not really tracking a lot. So this can still be tweaked. And I'll tell you, like, a lot of people are surprised how much a UI can help them. So he's also undead, which I'm surprised. Used to be orc, didn't he? But yeah, undead. Definitely not my favorite race for an undead or for a death knight, but still fits the theme at least. So this boss, obviously one of the harder bosses to survive in the dungeon. Getting smacked by those frontals there. Not ideal, but anyway, yeah. What is this? What is this up here? What is this? That looks like that warrior spell. What was the name of that spell? Can't remember. Maybe it's still in the game. Anyway, but yeah. Okay, so here's a big tip for you right now. Definitely always tank them together. It not only helps the DPS, it also helps you, right? Because the amount of leech you're doing is going to be increased. You'll be generating more Heartstrike resources. You'll be hitting 2 targets with that. Basically just, you'll be hitting more hemostasis targets, so more Death Strike as well from that. So yeah, always try to tank them together. And apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently this mob has less armor. I've heard people say this. I don't know. I did know the game actually still works that way. But yeah, always attack Zulaz and you'll do slightly more damage as well. If that's true, I don't know for sure, but regardless, it doesn't seem like it would be detrimental. Like, it's one of those things that if you do it, there's no real detriment to it anyway, so something to keep in mind. But yeah, you're doing a pretty good job surviving. This fight is actually hard. I actually just did this key today on 20. a couple times, and man, was it difficult. So the first boss that is quite difficult. Obviously, figuring out where these three-pronged attacks are going is usually a big part of the problem, but not a big deal. It looks like we have a very aggressive offensive setup too in terms of trinkets. I don't see anything on the screen indicating gear, but I could see the Plaguefall DPS trinket, Vial or whatever that's called, Putrefaction. That's on the target there. So interesting that you have chosen to do some of these things. I'm never really sure like what the right choice is, right? Like, do we want to go offensive trinkets and defensive legendary? You know, like if I was playing Ventir, I'd probably be using Super Strain a lot more, just because the thing about Crimson Rune is that it just synergizes so damn well with Night Fae that it's a slam dunk. But you know, on a week like this, I could easily see myself playing a different legendary. But yeah, first boss down looks like pretty solid. Still seeing you click a couple spells. Death's Advance, I think, was one of them. That's definitely not a spell you want to click, but I guess if you have to choose, perhaps that's not the worst one in the game. Obviously, moving your mouse to click that and then moving your character after that is slightly slower than just clicking it with your hands. But okay, now we're gonna go left here, which is interesting. Makes me think he's gonna do a different route than I normally do. Very conservative approach to these guys here. I think this would be oh well, somebody's pulling them anyway. I don't know if you wanted that. But anyway, yeah, this is a great time for Bone Storm. This is probably like one of the best packs in the game for Bone Storm. I've never really used it myself, but can't be a bad thing. We have a lot of runic power. We're sitting on a lot of runic power. I would say that's probably one of the strengths of not playing Night Fae, is that you should be encouraged to use your runic power much more. So I would definitely keep that active. If you do find yourself dying, it's probably because of that. I see you're sitting at very high runic power very often. But I guess if you're not using Red Thirst, I don't know. So like the whole dynamic changes. If you're not using Red Thirst, I'm never too sure what the right play is, to be honest. But maybe it's better to stay at high runic power, just so you could always get that Bone Storm off. I don't know. Anyway, now it looks like we're gonna go to the right. Okay, so this is the route I used to do in season 2, and frankly, I still think it's the safer route. The problem is it's the slower route. This week doesn't matter. I mean, this is such an easy week. I cannot believe how easy this week has been going. So, and then since we've got those mobs on the left, we could avoid the really annoying mobs on the right, I guess, right? Is that right? If that's the case, that's pretty good. But so we have a little bit of a conversation happening with this guy. I don't know if he's Raspardos. Says but I don't know. I thought there was gonna be more than that. Anyway, no problem. We're continuing going left here, and yeah, just always make sure if you ever have any dangerous packs, we have AMS for that. Oh, okay. Now we're going back to the red, I guess. Not sure what we're doing. Yeah, I don't know how this has eluded me this whole time, but yeah, you can actually just line of sight them. Well, so what you want to do is you want to line of sight them right in this little. There's like a V shape here. This like kind of pillar and the stair thing kind of forms like a little V shape. Just kind of put yourself into that V, and you'll be substantially. It'll be faster to get them to line of sight. You won't have to worry about. That's an interesting ring of peace, by the way. You won't have to worry about them having to run all the way down the stairs. It'll probably save like a good 10, 15 seconds. But you definitely want to keep them in the stairs there, because then they can't possibly jump too far. Luckily, as a blood decay, it barely matters. You know, you got Gorfine, so. But yeah, certainly looks like a lot better. You know, even though we did see a small amount of clicking still. Last time we watched Geg, he was really struggling with keybinds, really struggling with all that. So I'm pretty 99% sure he's using what's the name of the talent? I can never remember. Let me quickly go back to his talents just to see that. We also had like a major issue. He's not using the name of the talent is, what's the name of it? Come on. I always forget. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, Will the Necropolis. He's using I think it was actually Mark of Blood. But yeah, obviously Will the Necropolis, one of the best talents in the game. So I'm glad to see that working out for you. Could help a lot with these keys. This pack here, nothing special. There is a weapon on the ground though. I always give people like 3 or 4 seconds to get that. That might expire. Yeah. So you definitely try to pay attention to that. DPS brain dead half the time, right? They don't even know that there's a DPS bonus on the ground for them. They're literally going to just let that expire. Yeah, that's going to expire. So that's a huge DPS loss right there. So definitely, as a tank, I always give the DPS 3 or 4 seconds. If they don't react to it, I'm going to get that myself. I don't think it has anything to do with your actual DPS. I think it does the same amount of damage no matter who picks it up. So as long as a melee of some sort picks it up, it's going to be the most, it's going to be the most valuable it can be. So just as a tank, definitely pick that up. Man, I have not gone this direction in a long time. I would definitely consider pulling this pack with that next pack, though. If you're going this direction, this seems like a really easy route to not have any issues on, and this is already a really easy week. So sounds like a really good opportunity to have some big pulls over here. And there's not a lot of great opportunities for it because there's so many casters. But I am interested to see how the route plays out. So that would have been a great time for AMS there. So I'm seeing a lot of non-AMS usage. And let's quickly go back and look at. Good thing is you can see it on F3. Has he not used it a single time yet? 0 usage so far, it looks like. Okay, so here's where I'm going to. Okay, we used it at that point there, but I'm going to go ahead and have to suggest you get the damage type weak core that I've been using since Legion. It's unbelievably valuable. You will never question whether or not AMS is valuable or not again, because as soon as you see, 100k magic damage reduced by AMS or whatever the number is, then you will automatically know how valuable that is. So, but yeah, this saves a lot of time, when you AMS, especially if you're trying to mount here, although I don't know why you're trying to mount. What are we doing? But okay, not for no mount to nowhere. That's like seismic, fucking speed pot to nowhere. Anyway, anyway, no, I mean, but yeah, especially if you're trying to mount after the pack, always try to AMS at the end there. You won't get the busting stacks; they'll actually just not happen, and then you will be able to mount. So, oh, it looks like we're aggroing all this. Is that on purpose? Interesting. So I don't know. Is there Discord? I don't know. I'm not listening to it obviously, but it didn't seem like there was. I quickly went through it. Looks like threat is a big issue here, though. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like obviously vampiric, whatever, mist, swarming mist, whatever it's called. Swarming mist, a really good spell. Obviously does a lot of damage when it's up. But man, is Death Dew just doing some really solid DPS right now? Because it's just up like probably like 75% of the dungeon, right? It's gonna do damage like 75% of the dungeon. So really nice. Could be something to consider if you're having trouble. I don't know how big it. Well, I guess there's a rock alley down too. Maybe that's the threat. Wasn't fully aware, but it did look like some people were getting threat by some other means. Hunter dies. Do we battle res him? Oh yeah, battle res on trash. So honestly, truly, the only reason to go this direction is because it's the safer route. So if you're gonna turn it into this really unsafe route by pulling these really awkward mobs together, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on the route, I guess. But yeah, I would definitely be cautious about. The thing about this route is there's a lot more pesky mobs, so it makes it a lot slower. And I can see you're really struggling. The group in general is struggling with these packs, so pretty sketchy to try this, honestly, to try to pull all that together. It's just because those mobs just aren't compatible. Like you pulled a mob that makes everything else take less AoE damage with the pack that needs to be AoE'd, right? So it's just like non-compatible, This is a route for people who are like really unaware of how to survive, maybe, something that's like, okay, I'm really worried about dying, then maybe you go this way. But I haven't gone this way in a while, but yeah, we'll see how the rest of it plays out. This part is always the annoying part because there's 3 patrols here. There's that cat, which I only recently found out was some kind of reference to somebody who kept, I don't even remember what it was, some kind of reference to an actual game, somebody playing the game. But yeah, so my question is like, do you feel like that Plater health bar is helping you survive? Because like to me, it's so small. I can barely see the number. Like I feel like the number is really important. I probably look at the number on my health bar more than the actual bar. So can you see that clearly when you're playing? I feel like I would not be able to. It's very like shadowed. It's almost like hard to see, and then all of those other buffs on the bar there, I would just get rid of that. I mean, that's really useless, right? Does that actually help you, or you just kind of have that on by default and not know you can get rid of it? That's really awkward. I feel like I would never be able to play like that. So here's the opportunity. If you want to make a big play over here and use the spear, this is where you do it. Looks like we might be doing that. Waiting for the healer to maybe heal you. What are you typing? Typing something. Is this a pug too? I don't actually know. It looks like at least the healer's on the same realm. Spear on double pack. Yeah, that's what this is. Okay, good little grip there. Or were they? Yeah, you death gripped. Gore fiends. Still clicking the trinket there. So a couple. Yeah, I would just keep working on that, man. You made a massive improvement since the last time we watched. So that's really good, but still really want to make sure you're key binding all your defensive spells. Way too important, especially the way the UI is set up. I mean, if you really want to click, you can get Bartender and just put the... I was thinking about that, doing that for a long time. Just getting Bartender and putting the key spells on the screen. Like, you know how I have my weak ores, right? Like in a block? Well, you can just do that with Bartender. And then you can just click them. Like, then they're clickable weak ores, right? I can make them the same size as the weak ores, so... I mean, you could do that. That's not a bad idea. If you're not actually interested in key binding at all, then that's the way to do it for sure. But obviously, you're doing a mix of both here, so. But yeah, I think like key info, like how long does Bone Shield last? How many hemostasis stacks do you have? How big your Bone Shield or Blood Shield is? That weak ore that shows how big the Nest Death Strike's gonna be. A lot of different stuff really does need to be on the screen as a tank, a Blood DK tank. So I would honestly, I think you would improve dramatically with just having that stuff on the screen. I don't really see any reason to not have it on there either. Like, it's just kind of just obviously a good idea to me. All right, so here we go. I haven't pulled this side in a while. I think this side's the same as the other side. I remember this pack used to really eat me up, but I think this is just the same as the other side. It's been a while since I've done this route. And we're taking a lot of damage there. A little bit difficult with the no bone shield too. Another weapon on the ground there. Let's see if anyone picks that one up. So that frontal, you're eating that frontal too. That main mob. That main mob does a frontal, so you want to make sure you're trying to not only turn that away from others, but then also moving out of that yourself. It does a lot of magic damage. Should be shadow damage. So big time. Getting hit by that crashing strike there. There you go. So you kind of dodge at that time. Not necessarily sure that was on purpose, but yeah, dodging that is big. And then just making sure it doesn't hit anyone else is big. And success has been brought in there. Now at this point, I always try to like to pull the boss here. We'll see if you actually want to do the lieutenant. But if you don't pull the boss, okay, somebody else is going to pull the boss for you, which I guess works too. But yeah, if you don't pull the boss and you do pull the lieutenant, then very likely the boss is going to charge into you while you're fighting the lieutenant. Coming up to the end of the lifespan on season 2, but still something to keep in mind. We are going to go for Sogadon, which I think is the right choice. This group isn't going particularly fast, but frankly, I think that mostly that's the route. 21 minutes here, considering you went left, is not bad at all. You only have 2 deaths so far, but man, Sogadon's really beating you up there a little bit. It is a little bit more dangerous than you think. I see you icebound. And we're going to run out of that last second. Very good. Good time to probably use Swarming Mist on this guy. I don't know how it lines up in a dungeon, really, but seems like it'd be really good on this guy. Dodge those melees. Also do some damage to the Misery Bindings. But then the main thing is just making sure you're ready to go for the next pull, which is the boss. And it's going to be the highest damage requirement of the fight, of the dungeon typically. Not really much of a damage requirement on any of the other bosses. So this boss technically doesn't really have a damage requirement either, but I always kind of weigh that against the group because usually the people you play with are going to get hit eventually. What did you do? Multiple people took Dripping Fang. What? Oh. Interesting choice, my friend. Living on the edge, I would say. So the reason that I would never take this one is because you already have a lot of leech, and it's very hard for me. First of all, it's very hard for me to believe that this actually does anything because of the amount of overhealing I do anyway. The nice thing about what's the name of it? Let's wait for it. The nice thing about Stone Ward is it's, first of all, again, based on your maximum health, right? So you have a talent that's increasing your health. Okay. Now this one sounds good. 5% leech increasing by up to 20% based on your missing health. That sounds good, right? But 5% leech is not. That's very little. Like that's not much at all. Yeah, obviously if you get it to 20%, I don't exactly know the thresholds on it. But honestly, I don't see how this would ever be even remotely close to Stoneward. And the really nice thing about Stoneward though is that it can refresh while you're running from mobs, like or running from pack to pack. And that doesn't maybe sound that important to you, but it is. That's hugely important because it allows you to walk into a pack with a big health bonus on, and that will be increased by Vamp Blood. And obviously, the more health you have, you actually have a lot of health. Like you have more health than I do by a mile. So on my new DK, that is. So yeah, you would be a very good candidate for it. You're like I said, you're running parts of the strategy that I run anyway for foul bulwark there. So okay, so first boss here, definitely probably just rip storming mist, right, or swarming mist, whatever it's called. No reason to sit on that. This is a pure DPS race. There we go. We're using it now. Not really a DPS race, really. There's just no reason. There's zero, absolutely zero damage tank wise. You don't ever get the bleed. And yeah, this is like the easiest fight in the game. So what is this on overall? Yeah, this chart is on overall. Unfortunately, I would really like to see what Swarming Mist can do for you on these fights, but 5k overall, that's not too bad, honestly. But I guess we got that offensive trigger on. Okay, interesting. I always like to try to get him. It looks like you were trying to get him to the other side too, though. Just for some reason stopped in the middle of the room. But yeah, the farther away from these, the better. And definitely don't let that. Oh, that's a bad one. Ooh, that's a bad one. That's a bad one. I've had this happen where there's one in the middle of the room and it just splits up people. And then you got people on both sides of it getting knocked up. It's like, oh boy. I guess now that you're here, dedicate to it and then just move. Everybody has to move to one side. Kind of solves itself if everybody's actually paying attention. So in the end, it's not really a problem. There's another swarming mists. Yeah, it's 1 minute CD, right? Jeez. Pretty good spell, I'll tell you what. It sounds really good on paper. Okay, and that's that. We're just going to go full DPS here. No issues. Nobody else doing anything weird. No problems. Usually, sometimes we watch these and there's like some guy in the group who's worthy of commentary more than the player. But yeah, I would just try to keep focused on keeping the bone shields up. We let bone shield drop there. Let's go and watch that again. Bone shield drop on a single target. Pretty grievous error. Especially since it immediately follows Dancing Rune Weapon. What the hell? That's not good. How does that even happen? Or maybe I actually went forward, didn't I? Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I would just really recommend getting a weak ore for this kind of stuff because it's actually really nice to have all that on the front of the screen there like that. I feel like if you're not able to track stuff easily, then tanking just becomes so much harder. It's really like a battle against yourself at times. Having the right info is so important at times that it's just kind of, I feel like I'm carried by the weak ores at times. Knowing exactly how much damage I'm taking, know exactly how much. Nice little play there. Yeah, by the way, if you don't know, you can catch that angel at any time and it'll spawn kind of in the middle of the room and then swoop down. So that makes it even easier, but you can just kind of jump up and get that, right? What are we doing here? Not sure. But anyway, is he looking for an invis pop? Not sure what we're doing. We are going to do the rest of the route normally, I believe. I don't think there's anything different count-wise. I think you might actually have slightly more count on the left side, meaning you need 2 packs at the end here, or only 1 pack. I feel like you must be talking. Let's quickly see. Burdens would only impede our sacred duty.
No, it was a mortal who exposed the folly of your edicts.
It's like talking to himself or to a player. Perhaps in the Discord with him. All right, so let's see how we handle this part. This part's pretty crucial, I feel like, to make a good route. On such an easy trash week, we definitely want to pull both of these. Let's see if we do it. I would definitely do this on... yeah, okay. Get it now. Go. Nope, do it. Come on. Definitely do this under all circumstances on a very easy trash week whenever you have Arcalath. I would never do it when we have Varuth under any circumstances, because this Hellion does a lot of damage. And what we really want to do is make sure that we're attacking the Hellion. So typically you might see me drifting on attacking the Incinerator myself. And that's because I'm a little, just want to be 100% sure I get that interrupt without messing something up. Typically I would rely on tab targeting for that, but since those mobs behind us are in combat, you can actually tab to them. And I've done that multiple times. So yeah, just auto attack the Hellion because it is far more dangerous than the Arcalath, the Incinerator there, the Lieutenant, that is the word. And definitely make sure you're using AMZ here. This pack is, God, this is probably the most magic damage in any pull in the dungeon. So definitely, I feel like I've seen a lot of AMZ, which this week it's insanely good. So yeah, definitely make sure you're using AMZ in these types of pulls. Pretty much 3 out of the 4 lieutenants. It's pretty slam dunk, and there's no real other place to use it. Not like the bosses really need you to use it. So now we are going to take Crumbling Bulwark. I would definitely recommend Champion Brand here because you're done with the dungeon, right? There's no other trash left in the dungeon to do. So don't know why you would take that, but you are welcome to do it if you think it's helping you. At this point, Champion's Brand should just be a nice DPS increase, which is kind of all that remains here. We are going to Invispot here, which I guess is a good idea because the group probably isn't. A monk can technically use Ring of Peace and knock that mob away, and then you can just walk by it. But maybe it's risky. I don't know. Never really done it. Are we waiting around here because we're going to pull? I think we're going to pull the Lieutenant. And frankly, I think this is a good idea, honestly. Earlier in the week, I was skipping this Lieutenant, but we were like coming up, like we're near double upgrading this sometimes. And it's just like such a slam dunk. Oh, that's so lucky. Oh, okay. So you just had something happen that you really need to be aware of. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. I don't know if it's luck or what. I'm not really sure how this happened. Anyway, so what's going to happen here is Cold Heart is always going to put this debuff out. Okay. And I guess it's just because you're the only one in combat with him when it goes out. Yeah. Everybody else is just kind of fucking AFK. But he's going to do this Biting Cold. And this mechanic, it puts a massive dot on the player, okay? But it's a magic dot. Even though it doesn't look like it, because it's got that red border, it is a magic dot. So if you AMS this while he's casting it on you, you take this out of the fight for one cast of it, which is huge. Like, I mean, that's, I don't know, it's a small optimization. Doesn't really matter, I guess. But it's a bunch of free damage that you're taking away from the fight. And you are actually taking a lot of damage from it, as you can see. So yeah, definitely, if that ever goes on you, AMS that. And it will prevent it from being cast on you or anyone for that one time it goes out. Same thing with Hunter, can feign, Warrior can spell reflect, and Rogue can vanish or whatever that spell's called. Yeah, vanish. Okay, so we're gonna fight this guy, even though we don't really need to, but I do think it's the right choice. We have like 15 minutes at this point, so yeah, might as well, right? Because you're gonna get up to that last boss with like 7 minutes. And you obviously don't need 7 minutes to kill the boss, but if you wipe, you probably don't you don't upgrade the keys. So might as well take as many opportunities to wipe away on such an easy week, unless you're really trying to double upgrade it. Maybe there's an option there. Let's see what we take here. Oh, he's oh, why would you take that one? You took the speed one. Okay, that's got to be useless, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't really know of a circumstance where I would ever use that. Doesn't last very long. What does it last? Like 5 seconds? 6 seconds? Upon entering combat, it makes you 70% faster, I believe. I don't think I've ever actually taken it. He's choosing, though. He's kind of reading them. 70% for 6 seconds. So that's completely useless. Yeah. I don't know why that's even in the game. I mean, like, under what circumstance would you be able to kite within 6 seconds of starting a pack? Like, I don't. You know what I mean? I really don't see a point for that. I'd love to hear maybe somebody disagrees, but I mean, I guess the other one's none of them are very good, right? This one here though, big mistake. Not from you, but yeah, huge mistake that. Let me go through this one more time. So what you want to do here is, well, again, not really anything you can do, but unless these guys are in Discord with you, you can tell them that as a tank, basically they'll only throw the spears at somebody who's in combat with them. And they are going to throw the spears as you run. So when these guys get in combat with them and you're here at line of sight, then they are the only ones who are taking the tank damage, because that's effectively the auto attack of the mob, right? So they're basically getting auto attacked by mobs, and it's very easy to avoid. All you do is just wait for the tank to have them all behind the pillar, and then you can't be thrown a spear at, right? Here's another great AMS target. Definitely want to be AMSing these ones, especially when you have somebody dead. Seems like it'd be a good idea. But yeah, just time the AMS. It lasts a few seconds anyway, so you don't have to be precise. Just wait until they die on a busting week, and then AMS, and then you will not get the stacks, and that will make everybody's life much easier, because now one of 4 people or one of 5 people don't need to be dispelled or healed, and then the healer could dispel somebody else, and now you only have 3 people with the stacks. Okay, so we have the boss here. Pretty standard, nothing special. Looks like we're taking him on the stairs. I've seen a lot of people do that. I've been doing it as well. Oh, getting smacked. I would really recommend using some speed out of that to try not to get somebody smacked out of the gate there, especially when everybody's so low. But yeah, I mean, I guess whatever. It's part of the fight. It's going to happen regardless, usually. At least like once a fight, somebody gets smacked by that. Shaman doesn't really care to use Vesper Totem. I don't really know how you use that spell, but I'm just noticing none of these guys are using their CDs, which, I mean, I guess makes somewhat sense. I think probably saving your CDs. You could have easily gotten the CDs multiple times on the fight, but now they're all saving them. I don't know. Don't know how you play this. But same thing as tank. Probably wouldn't save them. This fight's not very long, even on Tyrannical. And we are going to do the trickery here. Unfortunately, they did such a bad job stacking. One tip here I would say, okay, so this is definitely not what you want to be doing. Let me tell you about how this works and why you're doing it in a way that's really suboptimal. The reason that this is really good for Blood DK is because you see this, how they're like flashing. You'll see them like flash, right? They're actually there, okay? So you can run on top of those and get them before they even appear. And it's a little finicky. At times I miss them. Sometimes it doesn't seem to work very well. Sometimes I kind of just stutter step there and make sure. But you can actually get them while they're there. So typically, if you let them come to you, you get hit by 1. And then a few seconds goes by, and then you get hit by 2. And then another second, another one. Another second, another one. And so you're taking this long amount of damage for a long period of time. And, you're trying to AMS them and not get the stacks, period. So this makes that work. So what I do is I usually AMS, maybe pop another defensive CD. Like if you have Vamp Blood up, which you do here, use AMS and Vamp Blood, and then you will be a much higher AMS. So you'll be able to take 1 extra ball before AMS goes away. Or you could use something like Rune Tap or Icebound Fortitude to make you take less damage so the AMS holds longer. You understand? And you're just trying to do that as much as possible. And I usually can get down to like 2 stacks or less if you do this right. And you just run out there, just kind of dance around on them and get them all, and then run back to the boss. But what you really don't want to do is this. So right now, this boss is in a damage phase. At this point, the boss is taking much more damage. So really doing it this way, period, like not being here and attacking the boss. Like a lot of other people just let them come to the boss, and then somebody kind of backs out and gets hit by them, which works. But oftentimes other people will get hit and they'll die. So I don't think this is a very good strategy in a pug. But regardless, that does equal more damage. And you could do a lot of damage to this boss right now, especially since you have like an offensive style build. So you waiting to let these come to the middle of the room here and not kind of positioning with damage focus first when you're failing to AMS all of them is just a massive DPS loss in all ways. Like everything about this is just poor. But definitely the AMZ thing kind of just indicates that you could have done this a lot better, because that doesn't really help whatsoever. Truthfully, putting it there and then moving out of it is, that's not very good. But I guess it lasted only long enough anyway. So, but yeah, I would definitely recommend maybe have a look at how I've done it. I'm going to be trying to make videos. I'm going to be making these short videos on very specific parts of encounters. So maybe I'll include that one in a video. But basically, season 3, I want to try to teach. A lot of people come into keys in season 3. I really want to try to teach everybody everything they need to know that I've learned over 3 seasons. So just going to get for that mechanic, I'll just make like a 3-minute video showing exactly how best to do it. And that'll be the video. So that could be one that you might learn from. But that's pretty much it here. One other tip I'll give on this boss, and which I just learned today to have to modify this tip, is that getting hit by the stomps consumes his energy. And as long as he has, I think it was 20 or lower energy, he cannot cast the ordnance now, which you see Imperial Ordnance is coming up. Those are the bombs on the ground. So the way it used to work, well, I don't know. Maybe it still works the same way. I don't really know. But all I know is you need to get hit a couple times here by the stomp, because if you don't, he is going to put out another Imperial Ordnance, and then he will phase in a really, really awkward way. Like he'll basically leave the phase with the orbs coming out, and oftentimes he'll be stood in them, and that'll be really bad. And oh my god, 3 people just got hit. That's so bad. This healer is gonna have a nightmare. But anyway, yeah, at this point, I think you want to just eat them. So the only reason to skip them is because they do a lot of damage. Oh my god, these people are getting smacked by these. Holy shit, they're gonna die, I think. This is really bad damage to this boss too. Usually it should be dead around at this point. I mean, partially because of how low your damage was in the first burn, but it's pretty good. That's not too bad actually. They caught up there. But I think that's partially because everybody's saving their CDs. Like this boss, it's kind of a bait, right? Like you have to fight the boss for like, how long was that? 3 minutes? Why would you save your CDs? Why would you use your CDs once when you can use them twice, right? I don't get it. So yeah. Oh, you're getting a message, a little bit of a maybe a passive aggressive message. So much for leveling. Thought you had to go, lol. Or it could be like, so much for leveling. I don't know. You can't read it. It's text, right? Anyway, we're going to finish this up with 8 minutes. It looks like an easy upgrade on its way. Definitely get this guy pulled as soon as you get up here. What are we doing? We're bandaging? You're playing a blood DK. What are you bandaging for? What the fuck? Do bandages still exist? Are you a tailor? What is this? I don't even know what that was. Don't ever. Oh, you're pulling both. Wow. Interesting choice. We took a very. Oh, God. Getting smacked. Oh, this is not going to go well. I can already tell. This is going to not go well at all. I have not done this since the beginning of the season, and frankly, I would never do it again. It's just so goddamn risky. So goddamn risky. Now, if I'm going to talk about this probably at some point in a separate video, but a lot of people might not know this. The spears, they shoot out in cardinal directions. So you can tell based on the orientation of the spear, kind of like how it's angled. You see how it's angled this way. So one is going to shoot out in front of it, and then behind it, and then 2 on the sides. So what you want to do as the tank, you want to find that spot and position yourself so nobody has to move. It's a huge pain in the ass because they keep dropping more and more. And if they choose you with them, then you have to move even further. It's not fun, but it's a very easy mechanic. But when you're tanking both of them, oh, this is sketchy, man. I'm really scared for this key right now. We got max stacks of this armor debuff or whatever. Sunder armor cast 20 times. Oh boy. We got that frontal, kind of just getting shot out over at that hunter. Getting hit by that spear. Oh no, I can see it, guys. This is about to be it. I asked, so did you upgrade it? And he's like, you'll have to watch and find out. Which he's right. I will have to. Oh, don't move. You can move from that, by the way. Oh my god, you pulled it off. And that's why it's so sketchy, because if you don't kill them at the exact right moment, it's like, well, you basically just fought all those mobs in insane danger phase for no reason. But we get the spear, and I mean, that should be it, right? I mean, how much is the recording left? Uh-oh. There's 6 minutes left of the recording. Oh no! There's 6 minutes left of the recording, and we only have this mob and the boss. What happens? Oh, we might have a surprise ending here. There's actually more time left in the recording than there is time on the key. Uh-oh. So unless maybe there's a bunch of stuff after the key, I guess that's possible. Yeah, he's probably showing the recount and stuff. Okay, well, holding our fingers, holding our breath here for Geg. I don't know if first 20, I should probably take a look. Let's take a look while this happens. But I would say that you did everything good enough. We got through it. It wasn't excellent, to be honest, but you did everything you need. Yes, Geg has no, that's his first 20, and it's spoiler on that now that I looked that up, of course. But yeah, first 20, 22, 2298 his score is now after this. So gonna be close without 3 daggers. The fuck are you talking about? What the fuck? The monk. Okay, all right. So here, let's talk about this. So this is definitely one I'm making a video on, 100%. And this is like an immense DPS increase to do this. So I'm gonna teach you this right now before you even have to worry about it. What are we doing here? Sitting here talking instead of pulling. Anyway, so what you want to do is you want to drag this boss all the way back to right underneath Kyrestia or whatever her name is. And you want to do that because she charges, all right? And she's going to run really far when she charges. She's going to move like 100 yards away from you. And the hitbox is not as big as it looks. So especially a class like Hunter, Wild Spirits on the ground, charge out of that Wild Spirits, massive DPS loss, right? So what you want to do is you want to have everybody with their backs to that kind of V-shaped thing over here, okay? And again, I'm going to make a whole video on this, but just make sure you're paying attention to this as a tank. You as a tank should always do it because you have no excuse not to do it. There's going to be other mechanics that like the DPS have to worry about these puddles and all this other shit. They're going to panic a lot, but you as a tank could always do this. And you want to do this and when you get used to doing this, because even though it's only a 1 in 5 chance, even if you're the only one doing it, every time she charges against this thing and goes nowhere, massive DPS gain. Like I'm talking about like probably like if every single time she charges away, you're probably going to lose like 10% of your damage potential, right? And it actually makes like the fight a lot easier too when everything's being tanked in that small corner there. So again, you know we do enough. We do enough here. We're good enough, right? But let's not be good enough. Let's be the best we can be. And that is a really good way to do that on this fight. Simply because the group usually is going to need every bit of help they can get, as we can see here. Struggling mightily, and we get that spear. Let's see. Chuck that thing at that boss over there. She's not going to be too happy about that. Did a lot of damage to her too, so that's nice. We are really struggling here. This healer is absolutely struggling. Should be dispelling. I don't know. I would definitely be dispelling one of those 5 stacks off people if I was him. But yeah, see again now it's going to just charge out into the middle of nowhere. So, and it's like the spear or the sphere, the shield thing always kind of goes near players. Like it'll never be out in the middle of the room, right? So when everybody's kind of clumped up in this area right in front of this Paragon, it kind of can only be in one area. So like the whole fight just becomes faster because you don't have to move. And this is one of the longest fights in the game because of the, this and Musal are probably the 2 longest fights. So making sure that we're in the right position for that. That is a scary, man. You are confident in your ability to stay in that when you have that camera like that, man. And there we go. So you've seen it now. It's maybe you're realizing it as we're going, but definitely want to do that during the Bloodlust. Definitely don't want that boss sliding all around during Bloodlust. So massive DPS game by just keeping her kind of stationary here, and we are doing it now. So the thing is, there's kind of like a couple patterns that alternate. So another great fight for AMZ, by the way. Tons and tons of magic damage on this fight. So I would definitely recommend every time she does the AoE thing that you have to be in the shield for, put down AMZ that every time it's up. Should be up twice on the fight. You could use it here or you can use it coming out of the phase. I used to use it coming out of the phase, and that was simply because I used to use it at the end of the Pride. In Season 1, the Pride would spawn right behind there, right in front of that pack. Like as the last pack died, the Pride would spawn, so I'd use it on the Pride, and then it wouldn't be back up until the middle of the phase. And that's a pretty good time to use it too, because everybody has tons of dots on them, and if everybody's stacked up, it's going to reduce a good amount of damage. But again, AMS, AMZ, we got to get that moving. I would still say, even though your play and your probably your gear and everything has progressed in such a way, your talents and everything has gotten a lot better. Yeah, we gotta get better at using some of your CDs. CD usage as a blood DK, it's what separates the men from the boys. And I think once you get used to using spells like AMS and even AMZ, and there's AMZ now, okay, that's a good use of it. I probably wait about 20 seconds to use that when more stacks are out. But once you get used to using these spells better, you'll be shocked at how much damage you're reducing. And you got to remember, AMS is a 1-minute CD, right? So if you're using Swarming Mist, you already kind of know when a 1-minute CD might line up. And that could be really, really good for survival. But yeah, it looks like we got an easy upgrade here. Nothing really. A minute left, though. Pretty slow. And I think, part of that is the route. To be honest, you really didn't lose that much time with the route. It was a little sloppy. I don't know if that's what you expected to happen on that side. But this is like a dungeon that you really should have probably 8 minutes left on this last boss. DPS kind of low too. Let's see the overall, but that is the overall. That's pretty garbage. I'm telling you, man, Warrior is just such a fucking dead pick. It's insane. I actually lost to the monk though. I actually beat the monk though. So, well, congratulations, my friend. 15 points, first 20, almost 2,300. You deserve it, man. You really you spent a lot of time getting better. I can tell you really learned a lot. So, but yeah, I would say just again recapping. Really got to get better at using CDs. I didn't really belabor it much because I didn't want to keep going over the same stuff. But and again, I could already see like just look at these spells right here. Okay. So we have this spell, which is really situational but extremely powerful. This spell, which is probably even more situational, but could be even more powerful because it could keep your group alive. And this spell, which I don't think you actually have the conduit for. Let's just quickly see that. Probably don't have Lichborn conduit on based on the. Oh no, you have the conduit. Come on, Gig. Don't disappoint me like this. Use that spell more. But you can just kind of zoom through the video and you'll see we're going like 5 minutes at a time without using all three of these spells. So not ideal. At least we're using Lichborn a little bit more. I think Lichborn is one of the best spells in the game because not only is it a defensive CD with the conduit, but it's a massive amount of leech. So let's see. Do we see any actual recount at the end? I'd love to see your overall healing, but we don't actually have that on the screen. So yeah, we got Crimson Rune. Well, that's about it. But yeah, so I would definitely just have one more. Well, what do we got? 44%. We got some stats on the screen too. But I would definitely have one more look at your UI, honestly. My number one addition to this UI is the damage type weak ore. Even if you're satisfied with everything else, really need to get the damage type weak ore. It is so valuable as a blood DK. Knowing exactly when and where you're taking a lot of damage is so huge. So anyway, I hope that you guys will leave some comments. Also, I hope that you guys will congratulate Geg, right? Because think about where he started just 1 year ago. We were struggling to get through 10s. And now he's upgraded his first 20, I believe. Maybe not first 20 period. I think he might have done another one as well. But yeah, regardless, good work, man. Thanks for submitting this. And if you have any questions, let me know. But you've come a long way, man.